When I was young, my bed used to face a large window in my room that faced the side of our house. It was always pitch black at night, and when I'd start to fall asleep, the branches of a nearby tree would tap at the window in the wind. Though I never saw anything, I imagined long, spindly fingers tapping at the window, trying to pry open the shutters and get me. It got so bad that I had to have my parents change the facing of my bed. It didn't help. Eventually, I grew out of the fear, but that fear I felt was as visceral as any fear I feel now as an adult. When we're children, those fears are amplified due to our limited understanding of the world. That same sense of wonder and imagination that propels our creativity and lust for new life can also birth creatures of near unimaginable terror. But what if those fears became real? What if there actually was something in the closet, under the bed, or outside the window? Would anyone believe you? Or would they pass it off as an overactive child's imagination? Hi, I'm your host Z-Man, and welcome to The Stash. Today we'll be reviewing spoiler-free Moonbit's side-scrolling survival horror game, Mr. Hopp's Playhouse. Mr. Hopp's Playhouse is a 2D side-scrolling survival horror game where we play as a young girl named Ruby as she attempts to escape her possessed stuffed rabbit doll, Mr. Hopp. It's a brilliantly simple idea that plays into our childhood fears of monsters and boogeymen, and apparently our love for evil rabbits on this channel. The game employs various sound mechanics, and you'll spend your time being as stealthy as possible to evade capture. Controls can move you side to side and down to crouch into hiding. You can also sprint in any direction and jump to clear noisy obstacles such as Ruby's various toys she left out the evening before. But beware, both will quickly drain your stamina, and if you do happen to get caught in the open or step on one of said toys, Mr. Hopp will immediately be alerted to your exact location and will pursue you until you hide and your visibility meter drops again. However, you can avoid the situation altogether if you keep vigilant and listen for his footsteps and the sounds of a very twisted music box that plays when he's nearby. Because of this, I actually strongly recommend headphones for this game, as the stereo mix is actually very good and helps pinpoint his location a lot easier. Outside of mechanics, the game's story is pretty linear. Ruby wakes up, realizes Mr. Hopp is alive, can't find her parents, and decides she has to leave the house. You'll solve a small puzzle and collect keys, all necessary for your escape. But it's not the main plot that seeds the terror of this game, but rather its small, intricate details. During your escape attempt, you'll be prompted to pick up cassette tapes. On these tapes, you'll read of Ruby's slowly declining grandmother, Esther, and how she gifted Ruby with Mr. Hopp. But as these bits of information get leaked and we start to question things, the world begins to devolve. These tapes were never meant for Ruby's ears, and perhaps we're seeing her worldview shift as she learns the truth. It always amplifies scenarios for me in games when I play as a child, because I find myself inherently more invested in the character's safety. I feel like the player takes on the role of a guardian. Things seem darker and more twisted when you know you're playing a child, and this game is absolutely no exception. And while the game's art style is purposefully playful, the premise is very grim, which, in tandem with Ruby's understanding of the truth, begins to twist that playful aesthetic into an even more horrific version of the house. And Mr. Hopp, the rabbit, begins to hollow and almost melt into what he really is, a mere shell for something much more sinister. It's a subtle metaphor, and also a strong argument for cautiously but earnestly telling children the truth when something traumatic happens, as the alternative could create something far worse in their imagination. Mr. Hopp's Playhouse is a simple but very well-designed take on the side-scrolling genre. Its story, sound work, and animation blend seamlessly in a very well-presented package oozing with dread. As of writing this, it's absolutely free on Steam, and recently its sequel, or should I say prequel, was just released, promising a backstory and new gameplay mechanics. And with only about an hour for runtime, what do you have to lose? Well, besides your childlike sense of wonder. Go pick up Mr. Hopp's Playhouse. I promise you won't be disappointed. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed yourself, please consider subscribing to the channel. We put out new reviews every Friday. And if you'd like to come hang with me and watch me play some of these spooky games, head on over to twitch.tv/zmanstache. Z-Man, S-T-A-C-H-E. Stay spooky, and I'll see you soon.